Hello, welcome to the second video of Tactical Tadka, and this comes at a very good time in my opinion because every international break I feel like अच्छा थोड़ा break मिलेगा football से, and then I start missing football within the first week. So काफ़ी uneventful international break चल रहा है, and the qualifications for the World Cup are more or less getting over now, at least the first round. So थोड़ी टीम्स क्वालिफाई कर चुकी हैं, but I mean we unfortunately did not end the international break with a win, and this is the review of the last game that we played, which was away at Rio. uh, where it was obviously not a loss. We drew 0-0, and to be honest, if we compare it to what Barca did at Rayo, it was much better than what Barca played at Rayo. And Rayo has been in good form this season. I think they're top four or top five in the table. But unfortunately, now we've lost the lead at the top of the table, and I think it's down to, if I'm not wrong, uh, yeah, 3 points. So still above Barca, but only 3 points instead of five, which is sad because हमें लगा कि after the Liverpool loss, we might bounce back with a win in La Liga, but unfortunately it did not happen. So let's try and break this game down. First of all, I do not agree with a lot of people who are like crying that हम रायो से नहीं जीत पा रहे, because we haven't won at Rayo in the last 4 years. So the last win came for I think 21-22 season में, uh, and the win before that came when Bale scored a brace and Lucas Vasquez scored a goal. So that was like 8 years ago. So हम last 8 साल में सिर्फ 2 बार जीते हैं at Rayo. It's a very tough it's a very small stadium. Ground बहुत छोटा है, tough है, तो बड़ी teams आके always suffer here, and you know it's not an easy game from any angle. So people shouldn't think कि Rayo hai, we should be winning these games. I mean, La Liga away is not as easy as some people think it is, no matter the difference in the quality between the two teams. Having said that, it felt like a game that we should have won. We didn't create a lot of chances, but we did have a lot of entries in their box, with Vinicius. Uh, Having a mixed bag. Now that I saw the highlights of the game, Vinicius was making entries into the box, but then fucking up. So it looked like the Vinicius of Solari or Zidane era, where basically his finishing was, or final ball was lacking. Um, in fact, I will go to the extent of saying, which is the main talking point of this video, is uh, whenever a big player comes back from injury, it seems like we're having some trouble fitting them into the starting lineup. So we saw that when Mbappe came back in the Club World Cup and we lost against PSG. And now, although we've had some time since Jude came back, but it felt like we had our balance and we've lost our balance again. So we've tried to fit Jude into the framework. And to be honest, I think I raised this in the beginning of the season that the biggest issue is going to be fitting Jude, Vinicius, and Mbappe in this lineup. So I'll talk about this in a bit, but let's talk about the lineup in general. So of course, Jude, Vinicius, and Mbappe started, and given the lack of attack from the right wing, Alonso went with Brahim, who's our only option on the right wing. I do not consider Rodrigo as an option on the right wing, and neither does Alonso, at least to start. And Franco is injured. In my opinion, he should, once now that Trent is back, he should start trying Valverde on the right. I think Valverde can play on the wing and provide some support, if not as a right winger, at least as a right midfielder. So we should definitely try that. It will work much better than what he tried to do at some points in the last few games. It worked against Barca when he put Kamavinga on the right wing. It did not work against Liverpool. And at some points, he also did that in the last game in the second half, and it was not working. So this Kamavinga on the right wing is not going to work against tough teams because Kamavinga doesn't have the pace. He needs to be in the center of the park where he does his best work. And now that we didn't have Chouameni, who's out for 2 weeks, which is good. I mean, he missed the international break, so that's not that bad. But I feel like this was something that he Alonso tinkered with, but now that he knows that it's not going to work against big teams. In defense, Asensio started. I'm happy that Asensio is getting some chances. He started with Dean Hoyson. We still see Valverde starting, which is a bit surprising, but I think Alonso thinks that Trent is not ready to start, which is fair enough. And then on the left, it was Carreras again, who again didn't have the best of games, I'd say, but not exactly his fault. So that was the starting lineup. Baki sab kuch same tha. Arda was there, Kamavinga was there, Chamani was injured, so uh, we played Arda, uh, Kamavinga, and Jude as the midfielders, and then Vinny, Mbappe, and Brahim up top. Uh, that was the starting lineup. In terms of how I rated, to be honest, it was fine. As I said, I don't think this was a bad starting lineup given our injury, so we couldn't have done much. Where I will criticize him is uh, his substitutes again. Uh, I do not understand why, and to be honest, to an extent, starting lineup, I do not understand why Gonzalo Garcia and Endrick are not being used. Gonzalo Garcia was our best player in the Club World Cup. I haven't seen him start any game apart from one where he wasn't that great, but you can't expect him to come in and do crazy things. Clearly, we are lacking someone who stays in the box and occupies defender. Like, we are missing Joselu, basically. It doesn't matter who it is, it's more important that there is someone who occupies defenders. And I mean, in my opinion, Gonzalo Garcia, not even in Endrick, only Gonzalo Garcia is probably the player who does that. I would like to see Endrick as well, but it looks like he's going on loan. I want to see Gonzalo Garcia start more often or at least come off the bench sooner. And we did not see that happen, especially when we are wanting a goal and the team is sitting deep. I don't think Rayo created a lot. It seemed like they did, but we are defensively solid, so it doesn't hurt us that much. Which is one of the reasons why we are doing so well in the league. Defensively, we are solid no matter what, right? But substitutes, the Ceballos substitute was great because we wanted Arda up front. He needed to create chances. Brahim in the first half was decent. He created a chance for Raul Asensio, which he should have scored. There was another off the line by Vinny, which should have gone in. As I said, we should have won this game regardless. But in the second half, Brahim wasn't doing much, so we got Ceballos and then Rodrigo eventually. But again, Rodrigo is absent when he comes on the right wing. I think he should start on the left or come on the left, but not on the right. So I think Valverde, until Franco comes back, I think Valverde is the way to go on the right wing. But the subs, I mean, were completely ineffective, and that's what we saw in the Liverpool game as well. Dean Hoyson came off at the halftime, and I agree completely. He was again flying in for tackles. I'm not really sure what prompts him to make these tackles. He got a yellow card, and then at halftime, he was just taken off, and Militao had to come on. So Hoyson really needs to pull his socks up and, you know, slap himself in the face and tell himself that I have to defend better. I mean, ball playing is fine, but Raul Asensio was amazing in defense and almost scored. So I feel like it's kind of switching. So Raul did not start the season very well. Now Dean is not playing that well. Since the Atletico game, he's been a bit down. So we need some people to step up, and you know, Dean Hoyson is one of them. So that was the starting lineup and the subs. Now I will talk about the most important segment in this video, which is basically the Mbappe, Vini, and Jude, and how Alonso is trying to fit them. So we saw time and again, in my opinion, all three of them, it's very hard to fit all three of them. Like, I know people will keep saying that last season we didn't have our defense and so on. Yes, we were bad defensively, there was no doubt, and we bought some players in now. So that's one of the reasons the defense has improved. The second is the structure. But at the same time, I see the same issues that we had last season in attack, be it small teams that sit deep or bigger teams. Both or all three of Mbappe, Jude, and Vini are looking to score. They're all three very left heavy, so it's very easy, very predictable to defend against us in those. And Mbappe is not at his peak, and to be honest, he was one of the worst performers in the game. And I think my man of the match would be Raul Asensio, but Mbappe was probably one of the worst performers on the pitch. Uh, so I feel like when Mbappe is not firing, it becomes very predictable on how to sort of defend us with Jude, Vinny, and Mbappe there. All three of them go to the left. All three of them are looking to score. All three of them know they want to win the Ballon d'Or, and the only way to win the Ballon d'Or is to score. So it's becoming very, very difficult to fit Jude, Mbappe, and Vinicius in this lineup. So I think that is the key for Alonso to win trophies this season. If he can figure out how to fit three of them together in the same lineup while maintaining the pressing structure, which in the last few games has been absent. Like Valencia game was so good, and then suddenly we've dropped the last two games. So the only thing I'd worry about is this: can Vini, Mbappe, and Jude play together? We need one of them to play on the right. Mbappe has played on the right. Will he play on the right? Not sure. Jude, again, it's not clear whether he should be a number 10, CM, or what. I think our best lineup is 4-4-2, but again, Jude and Vinicius both go on the left. Mbappe also drifts to the left. There's no one in the middle to occupy defenders, and it becomes very difficult. Because, in my opinion, if we try to play 4-3-3 as well, Jude, Arda, and Chamani is not good enough against big teams. We've seen that before. It's not like Cruz, Modric, Casemiro. Like Jude, Arda, Chamani won't cut it. We won't have uh, enough in the midfield. So I'm not sure how to solve this. That's partly the reason why Gonzalo Garcia or Endrick doesn't come off, because Mbappe doesn't come off, and Mbappe in Alonso's eyes is the striker. So if you don't take off Mbappe, you don't bring off another striker, right? So it seems like we don't have a plan B where we can put a striker in the box and put some crosses. For example, Trent came on because Valverde had a slight injury, and there was no one to take crosses. So what's the point of having such a good crosser in the team? So I think this is something that needs to be sorted out, at least when the things are not working, and in the second half you need more legs or a striker. Mbappe should shift to the right instead of trying to bring on Rodrigo and not bring on Gonzalo Garcia. So that's my biggest concern. I will still not ring alarm bells. Let's not forget this is our best start in, I think, over 60 years. We've only lost one game in the league and drawn one. Uh, we've only lost one in the Champions League, so we are still doing very well. We are still very far from the best of this team. I I will not pay attention to any of the news coming out about dressing room bust ups. This is just to make life difficult, and Spanish media thrives on this. So what I'll say is, have faith. I don't know if Alonso is the manager who solves all our issues, but we've seen a positive trajectory. So I think now that Jude is back and he's trying to find his groove again with the new lineup, we should have some faith. The only thing I'll say is the good things that Alonso was doing, he's not doing anymore. The pressing that we saw from the team, we saw that against Barca, we saw that against Valencia, and then suddenly the last few games it's back to how we were last season, I would say. No pressing, defensively solid to the most part. I mean, Hodgson is a bit worrisome, but to the most part, we've we've been defensively solid. It's just the things that he was doing so well in the beginning, or when he was in the managing the Club World Cup, in my opinion, he's not doing anymore. So if Ancelotti got criticism for not resting players, for not rotating, and for not using the bench and making subs too late, I mean Alonso deserves the same criticisms, but he stopped doing some of the things, and I'm not sure why. So I really hope he can figure out one, the lineup, and second, how to make everyone play together and make the right subs and so on. I think he stopped doing that. So I really want to sort of see this team become better. But at the same time, growth is not linear. We'll go up, we'll go down. It's just that we need to sort of keep winning, and as long as we keep winning, it's going to be fine. As I said, Rayo was still a tough game. Elche is also going to be tough, so we have a few very tough away game, and then in the end, the big test would be against City at home. At home, we've been doing pretty well, so hopefully Mbappe comes back to his form. And Rayo and Liverpool were the first two games where we did not score, so that's also like very not you know uh, not something that we're used to this year. So yeah, let's hope we figure these things out. My man of the match, as I said, was Raul Asensio. He had a fantastic game, should have scored probably. And my worst performer, to be honest, was Dean, and on top of that, Mbappe. Both of them had pretty non-existent games. I mean, Dean was subbed off. Mbappe, in my opinion, at some point needs to be subbed off if he keeps playing that badly. I know you can't. He's getting the Ronaldo treatment without actually being there yet. So I think at some points he needs to be subbed off or even rested. I know he's a prolific scorer, but play Gonzalo Garcia sometimes. Dani Ceballos was a good sub. So yeah, let's hope things improve. Um, and yeah, let's hope our next game we are a bit better.